Oh, good morning, everybody. Here we are on Wednesday morning. Looking forward to our prayer meeting tonight. It's going to be awesome. And we're continuing to read through the story of the kings. And today we touch on Jehoshaphat. And you know, Jehoshaphat is one of my favorite kings as we read through his story. And he is a king who decided to follow his father's earlier example instead of the mistakes that his father made at the end. He didn't pick up on his father's bitterness. But I mean, they're not teenagers either at this time. They're pretty well formed who they are, and he took his identity from the early part of his father's reign when he was so right with the Lord before he got angry. And Jehoshaphat continues with all the reforms. He continues with the education of the people. He goes through and he brings the priests and the Levites, and they go through the land, and they teach the people the law. They teach them everything about Yahweh, and everything's going fantastic in the kingdom. One of the things that should strike us is that as they did this, the nations around them became fearful. As Yahweh was upheld and celebrated and worshipped, and as everybody walked in obedience to him, a fear fell upon all the nations, and they brought tribute. There was peace in the land. There was wealth, prosperity. It was a great place to live. Jehoshaphat again built up the cities. He built up his armed forces. He built up the wealth. But the thing is that this fear didn't happen because Jehoshaphat was some great mighty king. It's not because he had the largest army. His army increased. It got bigger, but that's not the fear came upon the nations before then. It was simply because they did everything right. They followed what Yahweh said. They lived in obedience to him. And because of that, it brought on a natural prosperity of peace, joy, wealth. Everything was there. And this is what we need to keep in mind, because we do a lot of striving, and there are things that we just have to wait on the Lord. In our waiting, we serve. In our waiting, we do what he's told us to do. And it's not a difficult thing. Not always easy, but it is simple, and we just walk in obedience. We walk in righteousness. Where our whole goal is to do what pleases Father's heart. Doesn't get much more complicated than that. We learn about him. We learn his ways. We learn his heart, and then we live according to his heart. We live according to the promises. So it should be as simple as that. But I take a look at Jehoshaphat, and I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged, and there's more to come. But I'm just encouraged when I see that he didn't have to do anything than lift up Yahweh to everybody, and they had peace. You have a great and fantastic day. Continue to lift up our Lord Jesus Christ and see what the Lord does.